many times I can be misunderstood. Yeah. There'll be good days and bad days, like the preacher said it would. All I ask is you will try loving me. All I ask is you will try loving me. 'Cause loving me ain't easy. I know it ain't.
What's going on, and welcome to Black Kings Free Game. Everybody, it is glad to see you guys. I hope you're glad to see me, because we have had a rough couple of weeks, guys. We have had a rough couple of weeks. I see we got people on here now. You guys go ahead and share the live with some of your friends. We got some information and some things we got to get into today. But anyways, about these hurricanes. Hey, King Boston, how did you fare through this whole ordeal?
Can y'all hear me?
Nope.
No. Well, I'm wondering why we can't hear you. Hold on. Let's see. Did we get you right?
Neff, where I'm at?
Yeah.
All right.
Gotcha.
Cool, appreciate it.
Turn my mic up.
Turn my mic up. All right. And as far as the hurricanes, King, I believe we all, well, I can't speak for everybody. I know I was spared. My family and I was definitely spared from both hurricanes, Debbie and Helene. It wasn't until I had a job the Tuesday after Helene, and it was in Hira. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes.
And I just put it in the GPS, and I knew it was far. Mm-hmm. And man, I was rolling, and I was like, "What in the world?" Like it was bad. Like as you got closer, you know, the trees was leaning. I mean, you could tell like it was a bunch of. I would go as far as to say probably at least 1,000 trees that I saw that were down.
Wow. Oh, was that when you were headed toward Valdosta?
Right. And I didn't realize that Hira was by Valdosta. Yeah. And I got there and I had to go to Lowe's for something. So I'm looking to see what's the closest Lowe's. And as I was riding around, they got hit bad. It was bad. You know, I saw the State Farm catastrophe tent. Power was still out.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, when I look at places like that, I think Liberty County as a whole was rather spared. That's just my take on it.
Well, I'm glad that your family is safe, and I'm telling you, our hearts go out to all of the areas that was infected by both hurricanes.
Yeah.
Like, our hearts go out to you. And you know, Georgians, we stand together. We stand up for others, but we really stand together. And we stand with you guys. North Carolina, we stand with you guys. Augusta, we stand with you guys. The parts of Tennessee, we stand with you guys, and we wish the best. We wish the best. How about you, King Myers? How did you fare? Now look, King Myers is my brother right across the street, so.
Same as you.
Yeah. Well, no, you got some things blown away. Like his fence.
Yeah, my fence was destroyed.
Yeah.
Like you never know how bad something is until you walk outside. It's almost like life.
Yeah.
Look, God put that shelter up over you, and you like, oh, I'm getting battered. Yeah. Then you come out safe, and you go look outside at how bad it would have been if you didn't have that shelter in place.
Right. Because, I mean, yeah, you know, people's fences got damaged and things like that. But, you know, again, when I was riding there, I saw a house split in half by a tree. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean,
my father-in-law's
really
house
got hit bad.
Had 2 trees, I believe. It was 1 or 2 trees that fell through his house.
Yeah.
I know some people in like the Vade area that got trees like on top of cars and houses and stuff like that. So
well,
it was spared. You know, my fence can be fixed.
Right.
I'm just glad I didn't lose nobody.
Right. Also, look, guys, I know y'all coming in. I'm trying to give people time to come in because this is something that, was just dropped to me And I don't know how they did it anonymously, but it was weird because this person knows what they're doing. But also, guys, don't forget to go to YouTube, type in Black Kings Free Game, and get my subscribers up. You know, I got good subscribers here, but we want to go to the YouTube platform so I can keep coming out with bigger and better content. We have Deputy Chief Hagan.
Yes.
In the building with us. And I appreciate you coming at so short notice and you not knowing about what I'm about to drop on you, but I appreciate it. How did you fare through the storm?
Well, personally, very well. Was out power for a day. But as far as the county, Liberty County as a whole, as a position of chief deputy, we had some damage in the county. A lot of people without power for several days. Mm-hmm. Actually had one death in the county as a result of the storm, Helena. And so it's, I'm proud of our EMA services and the county as a whole. The commissioners and all really did a good job in making sure the response was good to the citizens. Wanted to make sure everything. So don't give up on them yet because still like debris removal will still be happening at some point. So
okay.
But for most part, the county fared well. Just unfortunately, we did have one death, and so we pray for that family too.
Yes, our prayers are with you. Everybody hit that share button. Hit that share button. Just put it on your page. Just says share post now. Share it right now because we about to get into the nitty gritty. We're about to get into the nitty gritty. And what we're about to talk about, guys, is something I didn't expect to be talking about. Now, we've talked about political things on the show, you know what I'm saying? And everybody knows who I stand with. So, but I'm looking at this thing here that I'm about to show you guys, trying to be non-biased. I say trying to because, we're all human. But I have to be from man to man and man to woman. I just want to get this out here because I know why they dropped it in my lap. So I got to do it. So I guess we just rip the Band-Aid off. Everybody just want to rip the Band-Aid off. Y'all want to rip the Band-Aid out? Let me see it in the chat. Say rip it. Rip it. Let me see rip it in the chat. And we're going to go ahead and drop this. Still don't see it. I'm gonna do it anyway. Hey, engineer, we have something that I like to show you guys. From what I can tell, this happened back in 2019, and we're gonna discuss this. And I want to hear what Chief has to say about this. And because I got mixed because I had to look up some things before this whole thing. So, we're
On June 14, 2019, Lieutenant Gary Eason stopped a vehicle on I-95. Lieutenant Eason walked up to the vehicle and didn't identify himself to the driver or state why he was stopped.
How you doing, sir? Driver's license and registration, please. I'll explain it to you as soon as I get your information. You got your license?
Well, I do have it, but why am I being...
Well, I'm talking to you.
Aren't you supposed to tell me what you're pulling me over for?
As soon as I get my information, sir, yes,
Is
sir.
this a stop and identify state?
How you doing, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. Captain Mashdown, Liberty County Sheriff's Office.
How are you, Captain? So it's a stop and identify state?
It absolutely is.
Okay, well, I asked him that. He didn't tell me yes or no. So
You identify yourself, we identify ourselves, then we tell you what the problem is.
But he didn't do that properly. He didn't
Really?
say, sir, I'm
So you know his job better than he does.
I know the Constitution.
Do you
Well,
really?
Listen,
I don't believe the
wanna-
Constitution matters when it comes to Georgia law, does it?
Liberty County deserves better. Gary Eason and James Ashdown don't think the Constitution applies in the state of Georgia. On November 5th, show them you disagree by voting for a proven leader who believes in the Constitution.
The Constitution, according to the captain, doesn't matter here in the state of
That's not what I told you. Better be careful what you think. Look right here. You on camera.
I know
what I said.
I know I'm on-
You're receiving what you want to. Let me tell you how this is going to work. Your attitude continues. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and put him back in your car.
Let your voice be heard on November 5th.
Yo, and we're back. Did you guys get to take a look at that? Did everybody get a chance to take a look at that? So, Chief. Okay. Now we're in election season, right? And when I got that video, you know, that shows aside, basically, that's some. How do you feel about the video? And I don't want to hear about it from a perspective of, you know, you're on this side and that. As an officer of the law, how do you feel that situation was handled? Like, seriously.
I'll stay away from the political aspect of it, but from the position of a law enforcement officer, I'll say, first off, that should have and could have been handled so differently. But the supervisor side of me to say, I know our guys not doing that because we have programs in place to make sure that we're monitoring the actions of our officers, just, you know, periodically to make sure, and we're constantly training guys. The Constitution matter. That's the first and foremost. That's our guiding principle, is the Constitution. And so to be absent of that, you're going to have chaos. And the one thing I'm proud of with the Sheriff Bowman is he and I push, you know, follow the Constitution and you can't go wrong.
Now, but because from my understanding, I know it's his name is Gary Eason and Ashdown. Those are the two guys, because Gary Eason's running for sheriff.
Yes.
And then Ashdown is going to be like in the position that you're in, correct?
Supposedly he's supposed to put me out of work. So, yeah.
Okay.
I got it like that.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So, but he was on you guys. He was on the force, right? When Sheriff Bowman took office.
Well, both of those guys, I think, at some point was under Sheriff Bowman for a short while. I know at some point the sheriff allowed Deputy Eason to stay on to make sure he get all his time for his retirement.
Wait. What you mean? Hold on. So Sheriff Bowman let him get his time in for his retirement?
Yeah, Sheriff Bowman made sure that Gary got all his time to make sure he get his full retirement. Sheriff Bowman did that, and my understanding, a short time later, he left. This was prior to me coming over.
Okay.
And then I know once I got to the sheriff's office, Ashdown came to the sheriff wanting to reapply or wanting to come back. And I think the sheriff really were going to look at allowing him to come back, but he didn't want what the sheriff had to offer. So,
okay. So it's not like they were mortal enemies.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. And one thing the sheriff going to do, he's going to be fair. And no matter what my thoughts may be, the sheriff going, he's going to tell me, Al, let's look at it this way. And so, he believes in giving everybody opportunity to do,
Yeah, retirement is big.
That's huge.
That's huge.
And I agree. And I thought that was my big step for the sheriff to do that, because somebody put in a lot of time. Take personalities out and feelings out of it, but it's just.
So
looking at that, it bothers me that anyone would have to go through that on the side of the road, traveling through, or a local citizen.
Yeah.
So that could have been handled so many different ways. When you called me about coming and wanting to talk to me about some of the work, some stuff you had found out, wanted to see how the sheriff's department handled it.
Yeah.
I can tell you from day one, our deputies wouldn't do that one. It wouldn't look nothing like what I see here.
King Boston, you were saying something.
Just to backtrack a little bit, Chief. So it was a situation where Lieutenant at the time, Eason, when he was, I guess, set to retire, there was grounds for him to be prior
Why
to
was he?
retirement?
Yeah, what was happening?
I don't know his real reason for leaving, but I know he needed more time, and the sheriff allowed him to stay on and to make sure he get his retirement. But you know, when you look at a lot of the political stuff out now, they say, well, the sheriff run these people off. I tell people, anyone that left our office, do an open records request to find out why they left. Because one, the sheriff take people's families into consideration. He's not going to run someone off that shouldn't, you know, that because of personality.
Right.
He'll tell you in a minute he don't have to like them, but professionally, as long as they're doing their job, that's all that matters.
Right.
So, but you know, the sheriff Bowman runs a professional organization, and anytime you put structure into any program, bad actors won't hang around because they can't do the things like some of the stuff you see right there on that video. They can't do and get away with it and not stay at the sheriff's office. It wouldn't be tolerated. I mean, not say we would fire them as soon as we saw something, but that's definitely a trainable moment there to understand that, you know, we don't approach anyone in that manner. You know, de-escalation would have been the best effort in a situation from what I'm seeing.
Now, Chief, I'm going to say this. Yes, I ride with Sheriff Bowman. I really do. Now, when it comes to something like this, you know, I have to, as a man, I got to be fair. Because I'm sure Mr. Eason, you know, might have some type of reasoning behind it. I have met him. I probably met him before, but I just met him recently here at, it was a campaign gathering. And that was like my first time really just seeing and knowing who he was. So, yeah, I got to give him a shot to explain that, you know, because to me, it was more escalating than de-escalating. And I don't, did they say what he was pulling them over for? Because I
mean, have to see. But, you know, that's one of those situations. He deserves a right to come in and, you know, explain to you what, you know, video don't always show everything. That, you know, don't show everything. But, you know, in the same situation, my thing would be to give him the opportunity to sit down and explain it.
Yes, sir.
Because, you know, he may have a different take on it, but I'd find it hard, you know, when you start talking about the Constitution don't matter, it's hard to sell that to anyone because that's the law enforcement guiding. That's the guiding light for law enforcement.
We're going to watch it one more time. We got more people in. Engineer, if you would, play that video one more time for us.
On June 14, 2019, Lieutenant Gary Eason stopped a vehicle on I-95. Lieutenant Eason walked up to the vehicle and didn't identify himself to the driver or state why he was stopped.
How you doing, sir? Driver's license registration, please. I'll explain it to you soon. I'll get your information. You got your license?
Well, I do have it, but why am I being pulled over?
I'll explain that to you soon as I get your license, sir, so I know who I'm talking to.
Aren't you supposed to tell me what you're pulling me over for?
As soon as I get my information, sir, yes,
Is
sir.
this a stop and identify state?
How you doing, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. Captain Mashdown, Liberty County Sheriff's Office.
How are you, Captain? So it's a stop and identify state?
It absolutely is.
Okay, well, I asked him that. He didn't tell me yes or no. So
You identify yourself, we identify ourselves, then we tell you what the problem is.
But he didn't do that properly. He didn't
Really?
say, sir,
So you know his job better than he does.
I know the Constitution.
Do you really?
Listen,
I don't believe the Constitution matters when it comes to Georgia law, does it?
Liberty County deserves better. Gary Eason and James Ashdown don't think the Constitution applies in the state of Georgia. On November 5th, show them you disagree by voting for a proven leader who believes in the Constitution.
The Constitution, according to the captain, doesn't matter here in the state of
That's not what I told you. Better be careful what you think. Look right here. You on camera.
I know
what I said.
I know I'm on
You're receiving what you want to. Let me tell you how this is going to work. Your attitude continues. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and put him back in your car.
Let your voice be heard on November 5th.
So, yeah, once again, we had to watch that. And for all you that are coming in now, this was given to me through anonymous sources. I couldn't track back to who it is, but hopefully they would come forward. And this is, this person just made an ad basically, because it doesn't have Sheriff Bowman name nowhere in it. It's just saying everybody vote, but then it has a situation where it looks bad against Eason, you know. So, but it happened. You know what I'm saying? And that's just something that I feel needs to be discussed, because I would take that he sent it to other folks. I don't know how, you know. So we'll see. We'll see how that comes out. But with the Kings, like, the stop happened. We saw that part. And from what I could see, the guy that he stopped was being knowledgeable. I didn't see any aggression coming out of him. And then he was a white guy. He wasn't even a person of color or minority or nothing. So with that type of intensity, because the problem I see is that the guy said, hey, you're going to tell me why you stopped me.
Or even just as basic as identify yourself. I don't see what the difficulty is. Hey, I'm officer such and such with the Liberty County Sheriff's Department. I mean, why not identify yourself?
That's our protocol. Guys walk up, good afternoon, ma'am, sir. I'm Deputy so-and-so with the Liberty County Sheriff's Office. That's why I stopped you. And that takes a lot of the question, you know why they stopped them. They may argue about I wasn't speeding or whatever. At least they know why they were. At
least they can know what they're arguing about. Like that.
I mean, that's an honest request, and I'm pretty sure your officers or deputies, they encounter that all the time. If you're going to stop someone's right of traveling about as a free citizen, I mean, the least you could do is say, this is why. Because the person genuinely might not know.
Right.
And with those blue lights blaring, they might not even see the emblem on the vehicle to even know who's pulling them over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like courtesy. Especially, I think the video stated like it was in 2019. So at that time, that was real kind of critical between, the civilians and your police force, where you need to try to build up rapport. But that was, I just feel like it could have been de-escalated a little bit more, like, because you already know you're the authoritarian in that situation, right? So you don't need to exert how much authority you have. Right. It's just like, hey man, I pulled you over this way because you still got the decision whether to give him a ticket or not give him a ticket.
A warning.
Yeah.
You have all the chips.
Yes.
Well, I tell our guys, don't get caught up in what we call peed off the police. We use the other term, but peed off the police. And that's what ended up happening. A lot of times they get mad instead of, we got to realize when we encounter people out here, they're not all Christian saints. They're going to be happy to see us. Right. So they're going to be some pushback, and you got to be prepared for that. And then that's where good professionalism overcomes it most of the time, because a guy or girl may realize they're being a butthole to you, and when you constantly being nice, then they realize I'm not getting anywhere. I may as well cooperate and continue on. So.
My mother said you always get more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
Right.
Yes.
And King Myers, what do you feel about it? Burned it.
No, I'm doing the math.
Okay.
Said this video was done in 1917?
19,
right?
19, yeah.
All right. So what's getting to me is, why is it 2024 and this video is still showing?
Hey, because you know what?
And you can't say, I understand the political part behind it.
Yeah.
It's an election going, so hands is gonna get dirty. Some people's hands is not dirty, but some people don't like who this person personally is. That's the thing that is. So that means like this could be going on for years, and then all of a sudden for an election is bringing to the knowledge.
Yeah,
this could have been stopped. This is a subject that should have been up. And
it should have been talked about before.
in 19.
Well, I mean, we don't know.
It was addressed in our agency because when the sheriff came in, there, we made sure this is how you present yourself on the stop. So it was addressed there, but this here, and what's crazy is all the stuff you see out there constantly over and over about Sheriff Bowman and stuff, kind of the same way stuff that's done been played over and over.
Right.
It tends to start right back when the election close.
Yeah, and that's what I get. And that's the thing that I'm just saying in general. Like, it's not just about this video. It's about, everything that pops up all of a sudden during elections. Like, it's like, why are we just hearing about this now? Like, this is something, that could have saved somebody, because I'm sure this is not the first time this happened. This was the first time him or any of those officers done this. But because it's election time, and like you say, we don't know what's this whole video, because the video has been altered. You can tell once it goes from segment to segment, clip to clip. So we don't necessarily know what that driver said during those breaks of clips. I'm sure it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing all honey, because I mean, when you have your family and you're like, okay, I'm just getting a routine stop, and like my family is stuck out here, and you say, hey, just put them in handcuffs and put them in the back of the seat. My thing is this: like, we look at this video now, it would be a different kind of aura if it was a African American man compared to it being just a man, period. Like, wrong is wrong, whether it's black, white, green, or yellow. It would have been escalated more if it was a black man, And then, like I said, for this election to happen, you have a African American man going against a Caucasian man, and they're both going for the same office. You have a chief deputy that's African American going against a Caucasian. So it's like, now it's like, let's play the race card now. And what I don't like about it is the whole anonymous thing is that you leave it to the imagination of the person to say Bowman has something to do with this. Whether he has something to do with it or not, we don't know. But you leave it open to say, hey.
And I'm sure you'll probably get that, but one thing the sheriff made clear, he's not getting down in the mud.
Right,
and believe me, they've thrown mud all over him.
And we understand that.
But the thing I tell people with videos, if it's law enforcement related, do open records requests. Just get whatever's out there.
Because that's how they got this one.
Right, and that's why I said I get that. So it's to everybody's understanding.
Yes.
Their mindset on dealing with it, because like I said, as much as you can say Bowman has nothing to do with this, it shows he has something to do with this, even though he may or may not. I can't say he does. I'm on the outside looking in. I'm just hearing about this video. It was just like that same video that resurfaced from the kids on the bus. We're thinking that this happened just recently.
Yeah.
And that thing happened years ago. So you put stuff out there. People have to be aware of what they put out there, because you can start an uproar behind something that probably already had been extinguished, has been taken care of. But you want to throw it out there because, hey, I just seen this video. Just because you just seen it, this is a video that happened, if I understand that
2019.
In 2019 this happened. But this man has, and I feel like, me personally, it was stated a little bit earlier when we was talking. Sheriff Bowman is a kind-hearted man. It couldn't have been me.
You say you'd have been Eddie,
because I understand about, but my mind works a different way. You didn't think about your retirement when you did this. But so I get, I'm gonna let him stay on the force, but then to me, it's like you let him stay on the force to be able to do this again.
No, it's at that time the sheriff had standards in place. Put standards in place. People know what they can get away with.
Right.
So that's why, a kind heart is not always a good thing,
Right.
But you can live with it when you know you're doing something that's going to help someone. You can hurt people every day and keep it moving. It can be hard-hearted, so to speak. But in this profession, you're here to help. Good, bad, you face evil all the time, so you got to be able to deal with evil, but also not be so. Don't use a hammer on everything.
Right,
and I know of Gary. I don't know Gary that well, but I don't know of nothing negative.
Right.
And I told her I would stay away from the political aspect in this, but. Just look at it from a law enforcement aspect.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
And past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that I see here. But other than that, what I can say that stands on its own.
Right.
What I can say is, I know our deputies aren't out there doing that to our citizens or people passing through this county, because there are standards at the sheriff's office now, and that's why I think the sheriff takes so much heat, because we do have standards. And anytime you have standards,
nobody likes
resist. Nobody like it. But guess what? There's no lawsuits coming at the sheriff's office where it used to be. The county was constantly getting sued, but our job, we can't stop you from suing us, but we can stop you from collecting. And that's our job, because that's citizen tax dollar. You know, and it may not come directly out of the coffers and go to that person, but it comes from that insurance company. Then guess what the insurance company going to do? Jack up those rates. So our job is just to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to. You know, when King asked me to come on the show, I told him I'm always welcome to come over here and brag. Number one, brag on what our guys or girls are doing at the sheriff's office, because they see the vision of Sheriff Bowman and they fulfill it. They don't get down in the weeds with all this craziness. Sheriff tell them, don't get involved in the politics of all of this. Just do your job and let me handle the politics. That's my job, and that's what it does. It isolates everybody from this part of it. But unfortunately, it's part of what they do, law enforcement. But it's like I said, it's unfortunate. But from the law enforcement standpoint, it's you know, I just want to make sure our guys aren't doing the same thing. So.
And it starts from the top. And another thing that was about that video that was somewhat concerning is when it happened, he was a lieutenant, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but a lieutenant, of course, has a high ranking, and they play a part in coaching and training the junior officers or deputies.
Right.
So it seems like if that's the culture at the time, then it could have been systemic.
Right.
You know?
We got some statements from the audience. We got Jeremy Cunningham says, it doesn't matter what uniform you put on a person, their character will remain the same. President, sheriff, or janitor. A person's character will remain the same until their mindset change. Valencia Stevens says, I would not want him as a leader. Claire Robinson says, upholding and defending the Constitution is a part of their oath, is it not? Well, see, that's the thing that we were about to talk about, the Constitution and the state law when they made the remarks, you know, well, you're in Georgia. So we also got Miss Lisa Thomas, president of NAACP, says, tomorrow is the first day of early voting. I encourage everybody to get out there and vote for your person.
Absolutely.
Let's make this thing happen. Also, we have a comment from Matthew McKnight. He says, Sheriff Bowman has the heart of gold, and I'm glad he is the sheriff of the people for the people. Man, we appreciate you guys' comments. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit, and go to Black Kings Free Game on YouTube and subscribe, people, and share the live right now. But let's get back to the comment about the Constitution and Georgia law. All right. So when we talk about the Constitution, does the law of that state overrule the Constitution?
I thought it was the U.S. Constitution. That's what I thought. And Georgia's in the U.S., so I don't see how Georgia law supersedes the U.S. Constitution. But it seems like that was the sentiment of that deputy, and I don't understand that.
Well, as far as some of the things goes, once again, I have to say, and I have to extend this out to Mr. Eason. Mr. Eason, at any time, if you want to come explain, exactly what happened, please feel free. I believe you do have my information. I have yours. I will try to reach out to you also, but this is what's going on, because that interaction was a little bit harsh, man. I mean, and I understood where King Myers was coming from, but then you got to look at the body language of the person, like throughout the whole film. The body language didn't seem hostile.
No.
It was like he was just standing on the things that he knew. To say, hey, this, I've never been treated this way. Why am I being treated this way right now? Mm-hmm. Why can't we just have, the conversation? And if I say something that that might put you in your place, just be like, all right, you got me. You know what I'm saying? Because with me,
I know what he feel like though, but we being political correct right now, so I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah. Most definitely, I gotta be politically correct on this right now. Look,
welcome, my brother.
Charles Morrell said he was talking about the unwritten rule of Georgia law. Charles, explain. Explain the unwritten rule. But once again, it's like it should have just been de-escalated. You said that he was a lieutenant at the time.
Right.
You're correct on that. And see, if there was another officer on the road, and a citizen said, "Hey, can you bring me your supervisor?" That's who's showing up.
And there was a captain there too. And it was a lieutenant and a captain there.
The Ashdown. Yes.
And these are people who are in leadership roles. So it's like if it was a deputy and you would have asked for that deputy supervisor to come, that's who's coming. And that's crazy when you think about it. That these are the ones who were setting the standard. Mm-hmm. It makes you wonder.
Yeah, because when I call on the supervisor, I expect the supervisor to come up and be like, "Hey, now you just step back.
Right.
I'll take care of this." And the supervisor says, "Hey, how you doing, sir? I'm such and such and such. I'm just getting to the situation, so I don't know what's going on, but I want everybody, remain calm and everything." Because when he approached him, he was like, "See, that's the only question I asked him was that," and then it was still more escalation instead of the de-escalation that needed to be happening. So that's where I'm up in the air, like, come on now, we could have handled that better, because you should have been the voice of reasoning between the two. That's why you're calling for a supervisor to say, "Hey, ref."
Exactly. Like Chief said, it's a trainable moment.
Yes,
But if the trainers need training, and look, at some point the trainers do need training.
And I was say, I'm constant. I was in I won't call it a training today, but I was in an informational source meeting with 8 of the Metro Atlanta sheriffs today, finding out what they're doing for the community, so we can come back here, do some of the things that bind us with our community. So you can never train too much, and the more you train, the less mistakes you make. It's just that simple. And I like to say we have a well-trained force.
Now, once again, everybody, because I cannot sit here and just lie. I'm not. Look, I am for Sheriff Bowman. But as a man, every man needs an opportunity to explain something, because I might be wrong in what we saw in the video, but hey, everybody has the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So, Sheriff Eason, I extend that out to you. I'm sorry, Mr. Eason. I extend that out to you to please get in contact with me and let me know, if there was a different side to the story. And also with Mr. Ashdown. If you were there, Eddie, how would you have handled the situation? All right? So, here I am. I'm going to be the officer. Hey, boy. No, I'm just playing.
We need to drive a license.
You drive license and insurance. how you doing, sir? Can I get your driver's license and insurance, please?
I mean, I'm going to ask what you pulled me over for.
Well, no, I want your driver's license and insurance.
No, what you're going to do is tell me what you're pulling me over for. Which I would probably have my license and stuff right here in my hand, so you see that I have it.
I have it out because I don't want to see you reaching for nothing.
Nothing. You see what I'm saying? So I'm already going to have it out anyway.
He did
Which this gentleman did. So I think honestly, everything that gentleman did, I would do the same. Kind of more on the fence about saying certain things. Okay. If I see it escalating to the point to where it's vital for my well-being and my family's well-being, then at that point I'll be like, okay, here's my license, and so what are you pulling me over for at this point? Because I want not saying it would happen, but it's a possibility that I could be seriously injured in front of my family. You see what I'm saying? So nobody wants to be like that. You don't want to get in a fight in front of your wife and lose.
What?
Right.
Nobody, but you don't want that. So at some point, you just have to be like, all right, my family's well-being is more important than this, because, like you say, we all know bullets don't have names on it. So say, for instance, you feel like I'm threat and you shoot and you miss me, but it goes in my car and hits one of my children, or hits my wife in the back of the head. Those things can happen. Yeah. And at that point, it's a whole totally different. It's a whole totally different situation at that point,
Yeah.
And that's one of those situations that will never leave. Like, it's like, don't matter, the outcome or whatever. Every single day you're going to have to worry about me because you just took away somebody from me just because, So I think about all these different scenarios and stuff like that before I do anything. My wife is like that all the time. She's like, Eddie, I know you're smart, but sometimes you have to play the dummy role just to make sure you make it home.
Yeah, well, while you're playing, us as men, shoot, because our pride, just naturally, when you got somebody that's challenging you, and especially when you calm, like, it's like, hey man, why'd you pull me over? Just give me your license and insurance. Man, I asked you, so I'm gonna handle it different. Like, you didn't hear me? You didn't hear me just tell you, please tell me the reason why you stopped me first. I'm trying to figure something out. No, you just need to figure out getting your license and your insurance. Let me speak to your supervisor, because I don't want to talk to you no more. Then the supervisor come up.
Yeah, I think
he's the same way.
I think it's all about how you were raised in your interactions with the police, because I grew up in Brooklyn, and in the heart of both the crack epidemic as well as the stop and frisk era, where police wasn't asking questions at all. They'll snatch you out that car.
That's facts.
And
especially with no cameras back then.
Especially with no cameras, it was a mess. So, as I grew up, if I get pulled over now, like I just said, I already have my license and registration in my hand, because I don't want you to ask me to reach for something and that's your reason, to cause me harm. And then when like, if that were me, it would be like a simultaneous thing. Like, I already know you want my license, and my insurance. I already know you want that. So I'm be like, officer, why are you pulling me over? You see what I'm saying? I know this is what you want.
Right.
So it'll be more of a mutual exchange. But again, that's how I was raised.
So Matthew McKnight, and I believe he's a lieutenant, right? Lieutenant McKnight.
Yes.
He says this is how the traffic stop should go as followed, and he has training at our current sheriff department. He says, "Hello, sir and ma'am. I'm Deputy Mosley. I work for the Liberty County Sheriff's Department. The reason I stopped you is you got a tail light or whatever out back there. Can I please see your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance?" Boom. And in that type of response, all questions have been answered. And this type of response is a de-escalation. So, yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. Matter of fact, that's how I thought it was supposed to be anyway.
I thought so.
That's the way we train it. And the thing you have to be careful in this situation, like I said, I'm not going to second Monday morning quarterback those guys.
Right.
They got their reasons for whatever. But the thing you have to be careful in that situation, those First Amendment auditors, they're out there. They're out there to make you look bad.
And that's what he was sounding like.
They will bait you into doing just that. And if you allow yourself to get frustrated, you end up giving those kind of responses, which the Constitution matters.
Right.
But they bait you into this. Right. And so that's why we constantly talk to our guys. First Amendment order come, welcome. Come, you want to look through the car? Hey, look, this is some new equipment we got. Make them welcome. Yeah. But if you push back, they push harder to the point that they're going to try to make you act out of character. So it's about making. And the first thing you want to do when you have a person in their family, how can I help you get on your way a lot quicker? Let's do this. Let me get you and your family home safe.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And so
traffic stop is to make a situation that could be potentially dangerous either make you aware of it if you're not aware, or to stop you from having, doing what you're doing.
Right.
So you don't cause any harm to yourself or any others.
Right.
Ms. Fraser said, don't they ask you not to get out as well? Well, yeah,
different situations.
Yeah, different situations. But generally, the safest place for you to be is in your car for an officer. It was me. It's like, because now when you're out, you're free to move around, you can reach, but I could be wrong about that. I think keeping a person in their position where they're comfortable, where you don't make them anxious, make them get out of the car. That's the best spot. Like, hey, you're in your comfortable car, you ain't doing nothing too crazy, you're not talking like you don't know what's going on. Stay right there. But I just don't know what to say, man.
I think every situation is unique, and that's why the training is so important, and that we rely on these officers to use their discretion.
Yes.
For the betterment and the safety of everyone involved.
Yeah, and once again, I will go back to King Myers. King Myers is so violent, y'all.
That was a graphic depiction.
Yeah, really, man. I mean, he's like, what if the bullet missing his shit? I'm like, dang, what movie we just got through watching?
I just speak, what's out there.
But it can happen.
Yeah.
It can happen. Those are very fluid situations out there side that road. You can go from 0 to 100 that quick.
Just like that.
And those guys want to go home alive for sure.
Yes.
Their families, just like you want their family to go.
Right.
And so that's why I say I want Monday morning quarterback them. But we will continue to train our folks to make sure no citizen come through Liberty County or live in Liberty County and have to be, put in a situation where they feel less than human or just rights violated in any way. We constantly try to train and stay on top of that stuff.
And Tony, what you saying that Tony Sherman said the Liberty County Sheriff's Citizen Academy goes through this type of topics. Take the next class. I remember us talking about that, man.
We just graduated our first class on Thursday night, and it was amazing. The folks that went through that course, it's a 10-week course, and you get to do a ride along. And like you said, when you rode with Chief down in Waltharville, it was eye-opening for you.
Chief Reed.
It was eye-opening for you. We encourage that. We encourage interacting with our law enforcement, with our sheriff's department in so many different ways. We're constantly looking at different programs to make sure, from the jail side to the street side, to interact with our community, because we want them to know what's going on. So when we go out to a situation, that's not the first time they've seen us. They know who's coming out there, so they're going to have a better rapport with them. They're less likely to want to cuss our officer out if they've had a positive interaction prior to whatever crisis they're in when we get there. So.
Thanks. Jeremy Cunningham says, how thorough is the psychological evaluation and background check? Most people don't become that way overnight. So, remember you had different sheriffs back then. So one sheriff might have a deeper project on psychological, but others might not. So you have to do that based on administration.
We'd have to think about Sheriff Bowman got the Sheriff Department accredited after he got here. So a lot of the requirements weren't there prior to him coming, so he professionalized the Sheriff Department, what he did by getting this agency accredited, thanks to Major Kirkendall and his staff. And so we stay on top of policy, we stay on top of training, we stay on top of what's going on, what's working, and so it's like I say, psychological is a must, polygraphs is a must, all those things that we do to try to vet the people that we hire. And like I say, at this point, we're seeing less issues with our employees because the vetting process is tough.
Oh, wow.
But we get good quality people when you do that.
Right.
That's facts. And King Boston has really been going through with having to vet people to work for.
I got a good one now. Look, my sister's on board.
Muffin.
And Muffin, shout out to Muffin. She's been hitting the ground running. I don't think she realized how much it was involved in pest control, but she learning.
I bet. We still got more comments coming in. Patrick Underwood, because it is election time, guys. November 5th is the last day and the day that we will find out. But Patrick Underwood said, don't forget that advanced in-person voting starts tomorrow, October 15th, and lasts for 3 weeks. You can visit our main office or the Liberty County Complex in Midway. In-person voting looks like Saturday through Sunday. Well, Saturday to Tuesday through Saturday, October 9th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it looks like the 5 p.m. is the cutoff times. So you guys don't forget to go ahead and get your early votes out there. And Ms. Lisa Thomas says, for people who say they don't vote, this should be your wake-up call. Every vote counts and matters. That is fact. Every vote counts and it matters. A lot of people think that voting is, your vote doesn't matter, but that's not true. Not true at all. I remember Malcolm Williams, he told me that it was like a vote that swung. He's like, that might have been the vote that got me over the top. And essentially it was,
And what we got to look at too is the most important election is our local election.
Right.
Yep.
Everybody look at the national election, all the rhetoric going on. I tell people, block that stuff out. Vote for whoever you're going to vote for nationally, but really look at home, who you're going to vote for, and because it really matters. It affects you within an hour or within 10 minutes. But with national, it may take years to trickle down to Hinesville, Georgia. So get out there and support whoever. I'm not sitting here to tell you who to vote for, but I'm going to tell you because I do work for the man I want you to vote for. and I want to keep my job, so I enjoy what I do. And I love working for Sheriff Bowman. First of all, he's a great man. He's a great man, a human being, has a heart of gold. Family, but guess what? He loves his community. He's everywhere. When people tell me, well, I don't ever see the sheriff, I was like, well, you are obviously a hermit then because because you're not out and about because he's everywhere. He makes himself available, and we make ourselves available. We give our personal cell phone numbers out because if you don't tell us what's going on, we don't know. Well, of course, we have systems in place to try and catch it, but the citizens gonna hear it before we do.
Better believe that.
I look for guys like y'all to pick up the phone. Hey, how do you know this going on? Deputy did something stupid. But what I hear lately is a lot of, man, your deputy's done a great job. We had some family passing through here from Florida, and the lady went on our site and posted that the deputy she got sick. The deputy didn't tell her to go here, turn left, hospital down on the right. He said, hey, follow me. I'll get you there. Escorted her to the hospital. And she and her family was really happy about that. So that's awesome. That's what we push. Don't just sit out there. You're not out there just to write tickets and that kind of stuff. We got some traffic guys that'll get out there and get it. But our patrol deputies who answer calls and all those guys are dedicated, and girls are dedicated. We have so much going on in the sheriff's department. There's so much positive, this kind of stuff. I hate to see it, but what we have now is so positive, and I love that. And we just had one of our K9 Officer Sergeant Carter just got her master tracking with the bloodhounds, where she has recovered, I think, something like seven different call-outs where she recovered the person that they were looking for. So, those are the kind of things that's going on at the sheriff's department we like to talk about. That's really going on.
I got a question. Because earlier we were talking, you said that there's been a lot of slander thrown towards Sheriff Bowman, right?
It has, but he stays above the fray. People know Sheriff Bowman. When you know Sheriff Bowman, that's all you need to know. And people see the difference in the sheriff's department. The crime is way down. You can ask. We'll give you the numbers because it's public record. The decrease in all crime, because and people tend to commit less crimes when they have a relationship with their law enforcement. For some reason, it makes a difference. Believe it or not, it truly makes a difference. And so we see that, and those are the kind of things that we want to do more and more programs. More programs work. We're getting away from and that's what I learned today up in Atlanta. Even in Atlanta, Fulton County, Gwinnett, all your major counties was represented, and that's the thing the sheriffs talk about. We got to get away from this hitting everybody with a hammer. It's more of a society of how can we repair this person to allow them to fit into our community safely. But if you take that man out to the jail, beat him in the head for 6 months, then put him back out on the street, what you think you're going to get? An animal, an angry person, a person that has no empathy for nobody else. So the best thing we can do, take them out there, make them a better person, return them to society, but also let them know, hey, we can help you even after you leave here. We'll call up somebody, hey, you got a job for this man. We got somebody that want to work. So those are the things. We're truly engaged in the community, and it's not about race. It's not about any of that. It's a human being. If you have a heartbeat, we're here to help you.
So do y'all work directly with the Liberty County Reentry Coalition?
We do. We do. I can't think of the name.
Miss Daisy Jones. Shout out to Miss Daisy.
Yes,
Shout out Miss Daisy.
Yes, we do, and she's a big help to us.
Yes.
There's a lot of those coming from our jail, or maybe need to leave, get out, go home out of town.
Right.
She helps. It's so much she does, but it's several programs that we work with. Like I said, it's not always good to have them under our umbrella, but it's good just to know what the resources in the community are. And we're going to do a better job of posting those on our site so people can go to our site and find out what other resources other than just law enforcement. So,
Chief, you got to...
No, I was just going to say, I'd like to also acknowledge the Georgia legislation. I know that's Representative Williams and his constituents for passing House Bill 451. That's the Ashley Wilson Act. And I'm going to just read a little bit. It requires all public entities in Georgia to offer supplemental benefit program for eligible first responders diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder resulting from exposure to line of duty traumatic events, because that's one thing that we also need to touch on is that some of these officers that are pulling us over, the citizens over, you don't know what they've been exposed to prior to that event. So it's important that even at a state level, we're ensuring that our first responders are getting the proper mental health care that they need.
And we talked about that today up in Atlanta. It was one of the big things that we run to everybody else's crisis, work with their crisis, and we as leaders got to make sure we do a good job or even better job to make sure our folks are okay, because used to in law enforcement it's taboo to say, I'm stressed, or how are you doing today?
Right.
He or she's not going to tell you, I'm not well, because that's the kiss of death in law enforcement. Now we got to change that and say, hey, it's okay to tell me you're not okay, because I'm going to see that you get the time off you need. We're going to make sure you get to a counsel, whatever, however we can help you. But don't continue on knowing that you're not well, because you're not going to go out there and serve Boston properly because you're so stressed that quick you go off. And so it's incumbent upon leadership as well to make sure we work on those things.
Chief, I got a new follower. It looks like Miss Valencia Stevens has something to say. She says, Chief, I'm going to tell them who to vote for. Sheriff Will Bowman.
I agree.
Mr. Cunningham, Jeremy Cunningham is the president of the 11 Black Men. What's going on, Prez? He says, that's a good point, Chief. He is definitely out in the community. I hope that I'm not being biased, but I only see the opponent name on signs. I don't invest my money into things that give me zero return. Wait. And I guess he casts my vote the same. He treats his vote the same. Chris Reed says, if you know the sheriff as a person, then when the slander starts, you would know it's not true. Also, Patrick Underwood is saying it's about having a good relationship with your community. That is true.
Walterville heavy in the comments too.
I see
I just want to shout out my city.
Yeah. But I'm seeing overwhelming support here, for Sheriff Bowman, and it just does my heart good.
Yes.
Well, like I say, it's so much that he's done to change law enforcement in Liberty County. And I mean, even prior to me coming along, like I say, I'm riding the wagon. I jumped on the bandwagon because he already had a lot of this stuff already in place and was doing, and all I'm doing is helping them to monitor that is, because sometimes you may implement something and you realize, well, this is not good. So you back up and punt. Don't be afraid. Don't keep traveling that same road when you know it's dead end.
Right.
So, you may change something. So we constantly talking, looking how to better take care of our folks first and foremost, and then make sure we're ready and prepared to go out and take care of our community. Because it matters when we show up at your door that it matters to you how you're treated, how you talk to. Can't talk down to you. We're here. We're grown men. Let's find the common ground. Because no matter what race you are, we all have something in common. Let's find what it is.
Yes.
And so it's I tell people it's first off, be a professional, and the rest will take care of itself.
Right. Yeah.
You know what that requires. So.
Oh, shots out! Also, great job, Chief Hagan. That's what Patrick Underwood says. And Midway say they in the building here also. Midway in the building.
Love my folks.
It's not Walterville. That's right. Midway in the building too now.
I'm biased. I'm repping Walterville.
Well, I'll tell you too. We had a lot of people get it confused because during the storm outage in Walterville when the light was out, someone was posting, "Well, Sheriff Bowman, you need to get out." That's we respect our three chiefs that we have in this county. Yeah. Chief Quarterman, Chief Reed, and he's gonna kill me.
Chief Hinesville. Chief Tracy. I forget his last name. Chief Tracy.
Yeah. I mean, we've been friends and worked together for years. I drew a blank. But Chief and all our three chiefs are great guys trying to do their best at what they do, and we support what they're doing. Yeah. We let them know that we're doing this. And, some of the rhetoric I've seen out there where the sheriff's department don't work with this department or that department. We went in, and I'll tell you a good example. We did an audit. You go in and you audit your whole organization where you find out where waste is going and what's doing. And come to find out, we were doing one agency's work for years that one, by law it wasn't legal. You know, we sending out stuff with another constitutional officer's name on it, which was wrong. And I'm like, guys, the law says they shall, not might. Shall.
That means you don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're not doing this anymore because, one, we don't have the funding to offset our manpower. But the thing is, it's not the right thing to do. So, you know, people get upset when you do that. But that's our job. The sheriff is responsible for these courthouses.
Right.
We got to make sure that those courthouses are safe. And we don't necessarily have the manpower, but we find a way to make it happen. And so when you make changes, people tend to not like that, but it's the right thing to do. And that's what we do. We make those tough calls.
Yeah. Man, and before Sheriff Bowman get on to me earlier, I said something wrong before somebody named. Don't you hold that against me? I was just talking. Y'all might not know what I'm talking about now. That was my bad. Don't be trying to hold that against me. But anyways, with everything that's going on today, I feel good seeing our community leaders, the people that we'll be voting for on this ballot, like you said, Al Williams and the Representative Al Williams and our chairman, Donald Lovett. All these folks are on the ballot, and you see them out in the community, and you've seen them out in the community. It's not like you just saw them one time and you don't see them again. You see them every time there's something happening. Yep. Go ahead, Chief.
One thing I'll bring to y'all's attention, and this is going to be a political here.
Okay.
In the primary, all the people that was in the election, in the process, talked about all their community work and the things that they do in the community. How many have you seen since the primary was over and they didn't win?
That's facts.
Oh, yeah, that's real facts.
Name one.
We talked about that.
We acknowledged that.
About that.
Yeah.
Because we've even said to some people, you know, hey, we want to work on projects.
Right.
You know, after this whole thing is over, win or lose. And, you know, these projects, you know.
Never heard from them.
I heard, but no action.
I haven't. Action. I mean, I recall asking several candidates let's say if you do not win.
Yeah, we asked that question.
Will we still see you in the community? Yeah.
You don't see them. And so my point to that is when people tell you that I'm a community servant, usually during election time, that's when they come up, talk about all the things they do. But Sheriff Bowman has been doing it for years. I have been doing it for years.
He don't have to say it.
I saw that guy in his Georgia State Patrol. This is before he even ran for sheriff.
Right.
He was at events, like he'd get off work. Now, granted, a lot of times there's sports, and I would see him at his daughter's games, but I would also see him when his daughter wasn't playing.
Right.
He'll just be up there like, you know, like one of the guys that's supporting the community. And I want to let you guys know that makes a difference, okay?
Right.
Like, look, y'all see me out in the community. You see Mr. Boston out in the community. You see Eddie stalking everybody in his truck, but he's not the people person. You see Chief Deputy Al Hagan out in the community. When you see your people out in the community, that's the ones that's really about that talk. They talk that talk, George. You understand?
We walk it.
Yeah, they walk it like they talk it. And that's self-evident. And we need to start recognizing that and giving props. And that's mainly what I've been wanting to do, you know, with this show, is I look at the community members and I give them their props, man. We had a rear admiral, right? She was one of the few African-American women that served as a rear admiral in the United States.
That's major.
There's no way that I cannot give her honor.
That's right.
And we need to start standing together. Yeah, I'm about to go in on this one, y'all, because y'all know how I feel.
Talk to him.
Look, I got to talk my talk. Look, we gonna have to start standing together. Now, Liberty County, we're standing together, and I want it to get increasingly better, right? And now this one is more of a self message to a culture of people. We need to stand together. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter about no election, who you like, who you don't like, but as a person, forget all about that. It's not that serious, right? It's something to talk about. right? It's something to talk about. When we have our community events, I want you to show up and show love, man. We gotta cut all this other foolishness out. Like it's supposed to dictate our life to that extent that you just like, psh, this just throw the whole person away. Are you crazy?
Yep.
Because what kind of community would you be? What if a teacher didn't just like something about your child because they thought this way? And it's like, you know what? Let's just put them off in the far side of the classroom. It's the same thing with rights that people are fighting for now. It's not like we're not trying to put them in no classroom corner and make them feel disengaged. You understand? So that's the same thing you do with your community, man. It doesn't matter what they're talking about. Hear a person out, understand it. If you can't handle it, just don't bring that up no more then. But we can't just throw all of ourselves away, because sometimes division is created for that very purpose. Especially when you're being talked to and they individualize you as a culture, and that's the only culture that's in this whole thing, and to throw up where all the animosity is. Have y'all thought about that? Let's look at the national elections, right? Let's look at this, right? There's one side that is culturally being talked to, right? Like there's not other cultures to talk to about this same issue, and we just gonna champion it and just say, hey, yeah, this beef. No, I don't care which side it is. We're not about to beef about something, and there's not gonna be beef created but behind it to where now we just disowning each other. Forget that, man. And that don't make sense, because if we're all this smart, whether you're on this side or that side, right? If we're so smart and we know that things happen, then we should be smart enough to know that we're the only ones in that whole entire fight that's going through that. We're the only ones that's going through that, and then we're gonna jump into it and just make it, worse, and just say, now we two separate people now.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
That's all it is.
And we're allowing it.
Yes.
We're allowing it, man. So, I had to let y'all know about that, because that's not making sense. That's not making sense at all, man. At all.
Again, locally, we have to do better.
Facts.
Go to council meetings, no one's there. Commission meetings. Only time you got someone there when they're there to complain.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they won't listen to what's planning. Go to your planning commission meetings. Find out what's coming to the county, because guess what? Next thing you know, they done built some nuclear plant near you, and you don't even realize it's coming until it's too late. And so my point is, get involved, and please understand that the political scene is real, and it's important that you play your part. And people who died just to vote. So to not vote, you're really doing a disservice to all our ancestors. Even at one time when women, not talking about race, women couldn't vote. So there's a real reason to get out and cast your vote. And I'll tell you again, vote for whoever you want to, but also Will Bowman on that day too.
That's right. And for you guys that just came in, I got a couple of text messages. They want to see the video. Look, we're going to play it one more time, and then we're going to take it up out of here. We're going to say our last things that we need to say to the kings and queens out there. So, Mr. Engineer, if you would.
On June 14, 2019, Lieutenant Gary Eason stopped a vehicle on I-95. Lieutenant Eason walked up to the vehicle and didn't identify himself to the driver or state why he was stopped.
How you doing, sir? Driver's and registration, please. I'll explain it to you as soon as I get your information. You got your license?
Well, I do have it, but why am I being pulled over?
I'll explain that to you as soon as I get your license, sir, so I know who I'm talking to.
Aren't you supposed to tell me what you're pulling me over for?
As soon as I get my information, sir, yes,
Is
sir.
this a stop and identify state?
How you doing, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. Captain Mashdown, Liberty County Sheriff's Office.
There you go. So it's a stop and identify state?
It absolutely is.
Okay, well, I asked him that. He didn't tell me yes or no. So
You identify yourself, we identify ourselves, then we tell you what the problem is.
But he didn't do that properly. He
Really?
didn't say, sir,
So you know his job better than he does.
I know the Constitution.
Do you
but
really?
Listen,
I don't believe the Constitution matters when it comes to Georgia law, does it?
Liberty County deserves better. Gary Eason and James Ashdown don't think the Constitution applies in the state of Georgia. On November 5th, show them you disagree by voting for a proven leader who believes in the Constitution.
The Constitution, according to the captain, doesn't matter here in the state of
That's not what I told you. Better be careful what you think. Look right here. You on camera.
I know
what I said.
I know I'm on
You're receiving what you want to. Let me tell you how this is going to work. Your attitude continues. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and put him back in your car.
Let your voice be heard on November 5th.
Look, so you guys saw the video again, all right? So last time we're playing it because I think more people than me have the video. So, look, I enjoyed this conversation, but as always, I want the kings to tell the kings and queens out there what it is you want to tell them, especially for this upcoming week. And we're going to start off with Chief Deputy Al Hagan.
All right, King Conda, appreciate the opportunity to come in, and always great to be with these gentlemen here. A lot of knowledgeable guys, and very sensible, and I love that. Like I say, I'm law enforcement by professional, but I do live. I'm a common citizen as well, and I think in a lot of ways that you guys do, and so I appreciate being in this environment. So like I tell you, I'm always open to come in, sit down, talk about real issues. We have a job to take care of our community, and I'm dedicated to that for now until Sheriff Bowman tells me to get to walking. And but you know, I'm at that retirement age, but and have enjoyed a couple of retirements, but I love being here, so that's why I'm here, not because I have to, because I want to be, and I love it and love serving with all the community here. It's truly a blessing to live here in Liberty County, and I just ask everybody to bond together and let's work to make it better for everyone in this community, because we enjoy the fruits of a safe community. You're going to have little incidents here and there, but guess what? We're going to be on top of it to make sure we fix the problem and hopefully don't reoccur. But thanks again, as always, and thanks for what you do for the community.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it, especially on short notice.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We're going to go to King Boston.
Okay. As we have stated throughout the segment, early voting begins tomorrow. Let your voice be heard. You can, as far as Liberty County citizens, you could either early vote at the Midway Complex in Midway, Georgia, or you can go downtown Hinesville at the voter registration office? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
At the old courthouse.
Yes.
And we're still in hurricane season. I think hurricane season is until November 30th. And I just pray for everyone who has been affected by both Hurricane Debbie as well as Helene. And I pray that we are spared throughout the rest of this hurricane season. For those that need help, if you haven't been able to as of yet, you could go to, and I pulled it up, the disasterassistance.gov. I'll say it again, that is disasterassistance.gov. And that way you could file a claim with FEMA for either one or both hurricanes and be able to get some type of financial relief to what we discussed today. The U.S. Constitution applies in Georgia. Let's set the record straight. And it applies in every state in America. Hence the word U.S. And as far as leadership, you have to lead from the front. And I think that our current Sheriff Bowman as well as Chief Hagan, have set a quintessential example of what leadership looks like. We see it not only in their actions, but in the actions of their officers, their deputies, their lieutenants and captains, and even the deputies out on the beat. You see the results of genuine leadership, and it's important that when we are making our decisions, especially for our local elections, that we keep that in mind. I'm not telling anyone how to vote, what party to vote for. That is your business. Just know that the decisions that you make for especially your elected officials, they have an almost immediate impact on your quality of life and your children's future. So with that being said, I want everyone to get out there, let your voice be heard, and vote.
Thank you, King Watson. Now we shall go to where everyone wants to go.
Let's get deep here.
And the mind of King Myers, also known as the Black Copernicus. So, King Myers, what do you got for us today, Copernicus?
First, I would say everyone go out and vote. But my saying to everyone is, I learned something during this hurricane. When this hurricane hit us, my fence got knocked down. The weakest part of my fence fell. And in life, we learned that our life, we have weak moments in life, and we get knocked down. And I had to learn, you had to be strong to put that fence back up, and then reinforce it to make it stronger next time, so that that wind doesn't come and knock it down. So what I say to you is, when your fence of life gets knocked down, be strong enough to go out there and put it back up and reinforce it and make it stronger. Don't put it back. Don't put the pieces back up and just think it's okay. Reinforce it and make it stronger, so that you learn not to get knocked down again. And that's all I have to say for today.
Wow,
You
can tell his daddy was a pastor. Do you hear me? His daddy was a pastor.
PK.
Yeah. Preacher's kid. Now look, I totally agree. Thank you, King Myers. And thank you, Chief Deputy Al Hagan.
My guys.
I appreciate you really coming out. I really do. I'll say this. Since everybody started off with voting, yes, do vote. Because it will matter. And whatever the outcome is, we will see. Because the outcome is going to tell the truth. Whether you like somebody or not, right? Whenever that person is elected, you're going to see the truth over the years when they're in leadership. All right? So either way, go get your vote out there. Let's get down to the truth and see what happens. When Pastor Myers said, when the fence is broken and on the ground and you see the damage that's been done, that fence was once strong, but its weak points were broken so that you may know where you need to reinforce it. And see, when he's saying that, the broken pieces can get broken so you can know where you need to reinforce, because now you just made your fence even stronger. And that's the same thing in life, same thing in friendships. If you see a point to where that friendship broke down, right, you know where that's at. Repair that even stronger, so it's reinforced, so when it gets hit by that wind again, even if it's equal or even more force, it's still going to withstand whatever it comes at it. And that's life, period. It's a lot of things we got to reinforce. The main thing we need to reinforce now is unity. And we need to be concerned about each other.
Absolutely.
Black Kings Free Game. I'm King Condor, the People's Champ, and we're out.